Babar and Zephir. The elephant school at Celesteville is closed for the whole summer. Zephir, the little monkey, as well as his bigger schoolmates, goes off for the holidays. What fun to go see his family again. But how sad to leave his friends, King Babar, Queen Celeste, the old lady, his teachers, and his beloved Arthur. All four have promised to come to the river near the bridge to see him off and bid him a last fond farewell. There they are. Zephir catches sight of them. He waves his handkerchief and calls out, "Au revoir!" Zephir arrives at the station of Monkeyville and throws himself into his mother's arms. "Gracious, how you've grown, my darling," she says as she kisses him on both cheeks. Aww, I'd be excited to see my mom too after a while. Everybody has piled into the family car. Zephir rides in front next to his father. His mother rides in back with his little sister and his brothers. "Let's go. Step on the gas," says Zephir. They have to use a rope ladder to climb up to the house, perched there in the treetops. Zephir scrambles up easily, but laughs as he says to himself, "This wouldn't do at all for my friends the elephants." The house is small but comfortable. While his mother prepares a good soup of bananas and chocolate, Zephir plays hide and seek with his brothers. His father carries up the baggage and his little sister swings to and fro. Ooh, banana chocolate soup, that sounds good. I love soup. Zephir falls asleep almost as soon as his head touches the pillow. But in the middle of the night, the nightingale wakes him with his song. True-la-la! Tiddy-tiddy-to-do! Zephir gets up gaily and runs to the window. "Hello, old chap." The two cronies now have a little chat. "Do you know what? There's a big package for you at the station," says the nightingale breathlessly. On the label is written, "From Babar." "Maybe it's a piano," answers Zephir. "I won first prize in music, you know." Next morning, Zephir hurries to the station. What a wonderful surprise King Babar has sent him, a real rowboat. Zephir, with his father's help, rolls it into the water. He's going for a swim, and then later will fish. The elephants have taught him how. The monkeys admire his courage, for they themselves are afraid of the water. Princess Isabelle, turning to her father, General Huc, says, "Oh, what a daredevil that fellow Zephir is." Oh, look at all the monkeys watching him. They think he's so brave. And he is. Ah. "What is this I've caught?" Zephir asks himself, greatly surprised. And then the beautiful creature speaks. "Oh, Mr. Monkey," she says, "don't squeeze me so hard. You're choking me. Listen to me, I pray. I'm a tiny little mermaid, and I live in the sea. I have a head and arms just like you, but see, I have a fish's tail. I'm accustomed to my life in the ocean waves. If you carry me off into the forest, I'll surely die. Leave me here to swim about with my sisters. My name is Eleanor. Maybe someday you'll have a need for me. If so, throw 3 pebbles into the water and repeat my name 3 times. No matter where I am, I'll hear you, and I'll come to you. I will never forget you." Zephir listens to the mermaid and then gently frees her from the fish hook. He has just let her go, but is a little sad at having lost her. Eleanor, what a beautiful name. On his way home, Zephir sees some monkeys reading the newspapers in the street, and hears the newsboy shouting, "Extra, extra! Princess Isabelle vanishes!" Poor little thing, thinks Zephir. It can't be true. She was on the beach this morning when I started out to fish. He listens to passerbys, and this is when he hears. Isabelle was playing in the palace garden when suddenly she was surrounded by a green cloud which wrapped itself around her, hiding her from her friends. Then the cloud rose, leaving behind a strong odor of rotting apples. The princess hadn't been seen since. General Huc, full of anxiety and despair, calls out his guardsmen and gives Colonel Aristobald his orders. "General," this brave officer replies, "I promise I will do my very best to find your daughter, the princess." By air, by water, from the treetops and the mountain peaks, even through the underbrush, Aristobald and his soldiers hunt for the princess. In spite of all their efforts, they find no trace of her. General Huc arrives in his car to get the latest news. When questioned, the colonel lowers his head sadly. The general understands what this means and goes away with a heavy heart. Zephir is the only one who doesn't give up hope. Secretly, he puts a gourd and some provisions in his knapsack. He also takes with him his most prized possessions, his violin and his clown costume. Then he starts off towards the sea. Luckily, the beach is deserted. He picks up 3 pebbles, throws them into the water, and calls out 3 times, "Eleanor, my friend, Zephir awaits you here." Instantly, just as she had promised, the little mermaid appears. "Isabelle is lost. Can you help me find her?" asks Zephir. "That will be difficult," she answers, "but for your sake, I'm willing to try. Wait here. I'll go and get my carriage." A few minutes later, Zephir is happily seated in a gigantic seagoing shell. They are off. The racing fish pull them along speedily. Eleanor guides them towards a wild-looking island and points it out, saying, "That's where my Aunt Crustadelle lives. Let's visit her in the grotto. She will give us good advice." Look at her carriage. It's a bunch of fish pulling in. Oh. "My children," said Crustadelle after listening to them in silence, "he who smells of rotting apples, he who carried off Isabelle, must be Palamoch." "Who is Palamoch?" asked Zephir. "He is a monster who lives on this island with his friends, the Goggoats. They live on herbs and fruits and are not savage, but they are bored. From time to time, in order to amuse himself, Palamoch goes off for a trip in a little green cloud. If he meets anyone he likes, he carries him off to his cave. That's what has happened to Isabelle. He is capricious, impatient, and has a bad habit of turning to stone those who anger him. Little monkey, if you want to save your princess, there's not a moment to lose. Eleanor will drive you there and wait for you. Take this old sack. It will prove useful. And remember, in order to succeed, you'll have to make Palamoch laugh. You'll recognize him by his pointed horns and his yellow skin. Leave at once, and good luck to you." After a good crossing, Eleanor and Zephir land without being seen by the Goggoats. The country looks bleak. They are now silently taking leave of each other. Zephir holds his friend's little hand in his own. Zephir puts on Crustadelle's sack. It covers him and his few belongings completely, and he immediately resembles the rocks which are scattered all over the island. He walks cautiously to the top of the hill while working out his plans. There's all the rocks, and there's Zephir blending in as a rock going up the hill. When he gets to the top, he hears a gruff voice. Quickly removing the sack, he peeks through the rocks. There is Isabelle, right in the midst of the monsters. "Little monkey," growls Palamoch, "I carried you off because I thought you'd be amusing. And here you do nothing but cry. I've had enough of this. I'm going to change you into a rock." "Lord Palamoch and you, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to salute you," says the brave Zephir politely, as he suddenly emerges from behind the rocks. "I'm a clown musician by profession. Pray allow me to stop here for a while to try to entertain you." Isabelle, recognizing him, drops her handkerchief and thinks to herself, "Ah, he has come just in the nick of time." Pretty soon, thanks to Zephir, everyone is at ease. A pleasant air of gaiety prevails. He tells them stories. One about the rat with an elephant's trunk, one about a blind huntsman, one about Captain Hoop-La-La and the gun made of macaroni, and one of Persefoil and Filigran. Each time he finishes a tale, Palamoch and the Goggoats cry, "Tell us another! Tell us one more!" Tired of talking, Zephir now dons his clown costume. What luck to have brought it with him. Presto, there he is. I'm now going to show you a game, the chase of the magic hat. Having said these words, bang, crash, he falls down and turns several somersaults at top speed, and then he catches his hat and his tail. Palamooch bursts out laughing heartily. Zephyr's clowning around, trying to make Palamooch laugh. That's fine, thinks the crafty Zephir. One more little stunt, and the time will be ripe for my action. My plan is a good one. By tomorrow, we will be far away. Then, picking up his violin, he plays waltzes and polkas, one after the other. Carried away by the music, they all jump and whirl about giddily. At last, tired out, they all roll over in a heap and go to sleep, and start to snore peacefully. Zephir takes off his costume and prepares to escape. The moment has come, he whispers to Isabelle, and they dash off to the sea as fast as their legs can carry them. Eleanor is waiting and waves to them. They are saved. Land is in sight. On their way back, they stop to thank Crustadel. Some birds have announced their return, and the news travels fast. Palamooch and the Gawgoats sleep on. The monkeys come running from all directions. Some run down to the beach, others watch from the cliff. General Huc takes out his spyglass. Zephyr's family cries for joy. They're so happy. What a hero Zephir is. Zephir and Isabelle are warmly greeted by the enthusiastic crowd, who shower them with flowers. They have said goodbye to the gentle Eleanor, who has gone back home with her fish. The general congratulates Zephir in front of the soldiers of his guard and says, "My young friend, I, General Huc, President of the Republic of the Monkeys, am proud of you, and give you my beloved daughter Isabelle. You may marry her later on when you become of age." After this ceremony, when Zephir goes home, his father and his mother, his sister and his brothers all make a big fuss over him too. They are so happy to see him again that they don't scold him for having gone off without telling them and causing them so much concern. They dance around with him and sing, "Long live the betrothed!" After starting off with his astonishing adventure, the rest of the holidays pass peacefully and happily. Zephir goes back to Celesteville. As long as he lives with the elephants, Eleanor and his sisters will watch over Isabelle. That was Babar and Zephir.